And that's exactly what Scotland needs right now, friends. A leader and a party who will stand up for our proud values of tolerance, decency, respect for freedom, respect for the rule of law. The values that have made Scotland great, that make our United Kingdom great. The strong liberal values we all hold so dear. But liberal values that are under threat in our country and across the world in a way I've never seen before in my lifetime. On the world stage, we see it from Vladimir Putin, waging war on our continent, murdering innocent Ukrainian civilians, undermining European democracy. We see it from President Xi, waging his own campaign of espionage and repression, including against our country and Hong Kongers in our communities. But what is most alarming, of course, is what we now see from the White House. Donald Trump ripping up the rules-based international order, one bad-tempered Truth Social post at a time. Breaking international law to use the might of America's military to take control of Venezuelan oil. Threatening to break international law even against America's closest NATO allies just because he wants to own Greenland. Threatening to end the defence alliance that's so crucial for the security of people across Europe, including here in the UK. Trump pulling America out of the Paris Climate Agreement and now reversing the scientific finding that greenhouse gas emissions are dangerous. As if science can be reversed just because the president doesn't like it. Trump sending armed mass federal agents into Minneapolis who shot and killed 2 innocent American citizens in those horrifying scenes. And Trump using trade tariffs as a weapon for whatever crazy idea comes into his mind, causing enormous damage to jobs, growth and the cost of living here in the UK, in his own country and around the world. Until yesterday, with that brilliant decision by the US Supreme Court. Conference, let's hope that the rule of law will triumph in America today and bring to book the most dangerous, damaging US president of modern times. And my advice today to Keir Starmer is to sue Donald Trump for $100 billion for the damage he's caused to Scotland and our country. It's the only language he understands. But it's not just us Liberals who have looked on in Trump's behaviour and his beliefs with horror. The vast majority of Scots, of Brits, of people across parties have agreed with us, as we Liberal Democrats have proudly led the UK's opposition to Trump. But there is one man who sees Trump not as a threat, not as a danger, but as an inspiration, a role model. Nigel Farage. Farage and Reform, who share Trump's admiration for Vladimir Putin. Farage and Reform who want to divide people, not bring people together. Farage and Reform who look to Trump's America with private healthcare, loose gun laws, and increasing authoritarian rule, and want to bring all that to Scotland and the UK. Friends, we cannot let Trump's America become Farage's Britain. And friends, it's up to us to stop him. Because the other parties won't. They have all in their own ways contributed to Farage's rise. The Conservative Party, as they so badly let people down and took them for granted during their disastrous time in government. who trashed our economy with their damaging Brexit deal and Liz Truss's catastrophic mini-budget, who destroyed people's trust in politics with the endless slew of Tory scandals. And then the Labour Party, who promised change, who told us they'd end all the scandals and the sleaze, who promised in black and white in their manifesto to, and I quote, break the cycle and stop the chaos. You know, I think we all wanted them to succeed, didn't we? We hoped that they would do what they promised, restore people's trust and deliver change for the British people. But it hasn't turned out that way. What a mess they've created. And here in Scotland, people and businesses have been doubly let down. Let down by failing Conservative and Labour governments in Westminster and let down by a failed SNP government in Holyrood. The truth is, the SNP have been in government for far, far too long, embroiled in their own series of scandals and failing even to get the basics right, letting people down on the NHS, on social care, on education, on the economy and the environment, on the cost of living and on the ferries fiasco. So after so many years of failure by governments Westminster and Holyrood, is it any wonder that people are feeling so disillusioned? Is it any wonder people are so desperate for change? But the question is, what change? And with those other parties so discredited, so distrusted, so disgraced, it comes down to a choice. A choice between our liberal change and Nigel Farage's Trump change. Liberal Democrat change, true to British values, transforming our economy, improving our public services, and renewing our politics. The real change people crave. Change with fairness at its heart. Or Farage's change. Change away from the country we love to a version of Trump's America we fear. Setting people's sights lower, becoming smaller, becoming meaner, closing the country off, turning inwards, talking about all the things we can't do. I don't think Farage's vision befits Scotland or our great United Kingdom. So friends, let's use the coming election to make the case for the positive Liberal Democrat change. Change with fairness at its heart. And that starts with the economy. Because people are struggling against the cost of living crisis, sky-high energy bills, food prices, housing costs, and unfair taxes. And businesses are being hampered by the Brexit trade barriers and red tape, Labour's tax rises, and the SNP's anti-business agenda. We need to show people that we can build a modern economy that is genuinely innovative, dynamic, and fair, where families and pensioners can afford a decent life, where businesses and entrepreneurs are incentivised to invest and grow, and where the UK builds economic alliances in an unsecure world, taking a leaf out of the Liberal Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. And how do we do that? By backing British businesses to innovate, scale and trade. Innovate by putting in place the right incentives for all businesses to make the most of new technology and ideas, boosting productivity. Scale by making sure our amazing startups and scale-ups can access the capital they need to grow, backing enterprise. And trade, especially with Europe, by tearing down the trade barriers and red tape put up by the Conservatives and championed by Nigel Farage, starting with a new UK-EU customs union and youth mobility scheme. And we can do it. Because the truth is, our family of nations is really incredible. Our financial and business services sectors make us a trade superpower. We are world leaders in the creative industries and life sciences, renewables and low-carbon technology, and home to the third largest market in artificial intelligence. Many of our universities, including here in Edinburgh, in Glasgow and St Andrews, are among the best on the planet. So we can grow and thrive and create jobs. We can give people the world-class public services they deserve. And yes, we can end the cost of living crisis and give people hope. So, conference, we have an uplifting vision for our country. And what a positive agenda for change in Scotland you are setting out here this week. Not Farage's divisive, destructive kind of change, but real change. Change with fairness at its heart. Friends, we've got the vision. We've got the message. You've got the candidates. You've got the leader. Now, all we need to do is to get as many Liberal Democrats elected to Holyrood to make it happen. So let's get out there. Good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.